Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to a long couple weeks here on CRN for the Lucky Dog Racing League. Had a little bit of a bye week last week due to it being Valentine's Day. Didn't want to make the women upset, so league owner and broadcaster came together and said, hey, you know what? I don't feel like being in the doghouse. Nobody else felt like being in the doghouse, so league owner ended up giving these gentlemen a week off to prepare for the second to last race of the season. Pretty much where we left off the other night, or 2 weeks ago, was at Bristol, and we had a surprise winner with Dalton McKinney getting another win, so he's got to start from the back. But tonight we're going to pick our final four, and points are getting kind of close out here tonight. But while we go through that, you're going to have Jeff Radke already making the final four. Then you got Dalton McKinney making the final four. Wally Babb currently sitting, I believe, P number 3 in the standings. And then you also have, I believe, sitting at P number 4. As of right now, it is Sean Long. So, it looks... Oh, that's not right. I need points, not stand. There we go. So right now, Jeff Radke sitting up top with 952 points. Wally Babb sitting 26 behind first place with 927. Dalton McKinney sitting at 26. So tied with Wally Babb. Or 205 points, excuse me. 231 points for Jeff Radke, 205 tied all with Wally Babb and Dalton McKinney. And sitting in P4, a man that's probably going to kind of throw you for a loop, Ricky. That's going to be Chris Luttrell and Sean Long, both tied at 188 points apiece. But just behind them, 10 points back, is going to be the number 41 of Travis Decker. So this top 4 could be shaken up. I know for a fact that, obviously Wally Babb is going to be good to make the final 4. It's definitely going to come down between Chris Luttrell and Sean Long. But while we take our attention over to there, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my compadre for the evening, the man with the plan, the man that pushes me all the way through a race and then decides to dump me on every last lap known to man. No, I'm just kidding, everybody. Don't listen to what I say. But that's going to be Mr. Ricky Gonzalez. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Mr. McDonald, I'm back. I know we were in St. Louis for 2 weeks, and then I actually texted you last week, and I was like, hey, man, I'm ready to broadcast. Let's do this. And Dylan texts me back and goes, yeah, it's Valentine's Day. It slipped my mind. Didn't even realize it. It was Valentine's. The girl wasn't even in town. She was on her way back from Austin, and yeah, totally slipped my mind. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'll see you next week then. And here we are back in the booth. Happy to be here, ready to get this race started. And yeah, I was looking at the point standings as you were going through them, and I'm kind of with you, my man. You got 2 drivers 43 points out, 2 drivers 26 points out, and then looks like Dobransky's 57. He might, long shot to get in. Maybe Decker 53 out. He's a long shot to get in. But anything 7th or 8th on down, they're pretty much out of the championship race. But yeah, that's a tight little battle they got with 2 races to go, and next week being the last race, and a couple spots up for grabs for the championship 4.
Yeah, a lot of spots are up for grabs. You've seen there, Dalton McKinney hurrying up, getting out of pit lane. He's got to start from the back. But we have the starting order on the screen. We got Jeff Radke starting at P number 1. Second will be Dalton McKinney. Just going to run them down just how they are throughout the grid. Third is going to be Travis Decker. Fourth is going to be Sean Long. Fifth will be Chris Luttrell. Sixth is going to be Sean Powers. Seventh is going to be Jeffrey Vickery. Eighth will be Zach Bates. Ninth is going to be Wally Babb. 10th is going to be Patrick Dobransky. 11th, Johnny Williams. And rounding out your 12-car field here tonight is going to be Rylan Facinato. And Ricky, I don't know about you. I love me some short track racing. I actually did this race last night in the Xfinity cars for the UCRL, which if you haven't gone back and watched that yet, go back on the Core Racing Network YouTube channel. Jimmy and Carl Hanover bringing you the live action from that last night. I was running very well, was all the way as high as fifth, and then dropped back just because, you know, it's me. I'm not very comfortable with the open setups and the or custom fix setups in the Xfinity car. But pace car diving it down into pit lane. A green flag is going to be out this time by. We're going green for 120 laps side by side into turn number 1 and 2. Jeff Radke and Sean Long. But Radke down on that inside, going to get the power down, going to be able to get clear and move. Travis Decker now looking to the inside of Sean Long. He's going to take over P number 2.
Decker's one of those drivers we talked in the pre-race show that trying to itch his way into that final four. He's on the inside. Outside is going to be the 84. And Dylan, I'm wondering, we got trouble in the back. One slaps the wall. He is going to keep it rolling. We're going to focus here on the battle for second. And this is what he needs to do to move himself into that championship four. Move the 41 up to P number 2 as an exit turn 2.
Yeah, move, it looks like Jeff Vickery up to P number 3 as well, as Jeff Vickery normally is sitting towards the back, kind of wants to stay out of the way. I know how quick Jeff Vickery can be, but I know how conservative he wants to be as well. And I think right now there is no conservativeness coming from that number 51 machine. Same with the number 5, Sean Powers. Haven't seen that name since the start of the season. Repping that Hello Kitty number 5. Trying to get on out here, see what he can do lap time wise, and see if he just can't get his number 5 machine up towards the front. Wally Babb in the number 99, he's up 3 positions from where he has started, so move Wally Babb up to P at number 6. Where would be the point in your eyes there, Ricky, where you already know Nashville Speedway is going to be tire killing mode? It's super bumpy down in turns number 1 and 2, kind of not so bumpy in 3 and 4. What are you going to do that's going to separate you from the field and work your way up through the field, as we got cars coming up off of turn number 2 and just wants to give the wall a little bit of a high five?
Yeah, it looks like some of these cars are starting to plow tight. I don't know. I think these are fixed setups. So interested to see how these drivers manage the tire saving mode. But for me personally, I'm wrapping the bottom of that racetrack. I'm going to be right where that number 3 machine is. It looks like he's on the bottom of the track, and we're going to save tire. Oh, a little bit of net code between the 84 and the 51. And so move the 84 up 1 over Jeffrey Vickery, but you just got to buy time. Oh, and the yellow's going to be out. Not sure where we have trouble.
Oh, Johnny Williams. I'm going to go ahead and go back to a quick CRN replay. Gets high into the corner, goes all the way down. Like, he just got that apron. Oh, head first. No, Chris Luttrell. All right, listen. We got to watch it from Chris Luttrell's point of view here.
Oh, my God.
Chris Luttrell came up off that corner, and I know he was seeing Dale. He's like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this, but, Lord, I'm going to try.
He saw more than Dale.
Yeah, he saw Dale. You see there, Johnny Williams going to go down to the racetrack. Chris Luttrell already in the wall. And Johnny Williams, I don't know if he had any broken issues with both of the right fronts, but Johnny Williams not letting the car stop. You've seen the car rolling all the way up towards the top. That could have been really, really bad for the number 00 there, as he's battling, trying to get his way into the final 4.
Yeah, that was woo, man. I'm sure that was a brown pants moment for sure. Seeing what happened, and luckily he was able. I mean, he stuck it on the wall, right, and he's wall riding. Just trying to get every single inch of where he needs to be on the racetrack just to get by that wreck. And Dylan, that could have been disastrous for him, especially for a driver that's trying to lock himself next week for a championship. Able to squeak on by, probably coming down, taking maybe 12 and a half seconds worth of damage, if any, if that's the most that he's getting. So comes down, fixes it, and comes back out on the track. But Dylan, we were talking. You got to save tire at a place like this. And I know we've been to multiple racetracks this season. I don't know how many races we've been broadcasting together so far, but every track we have gone to, the outside line seems to prevail. And I'm wondering, with iRacing doing their update here at Nashville, will that second groove come in and you can use the momentum to get on somebody's quarter panel and possibly make a move to get in front of the guy that you're trying to race, especially these guys that are racing for a championship. They know every spot's critical. Every position they gain is a point earned, or whatever. However they do their point system, they know they got to finish in front of another. So yeah, it's a race inside of the race, as we can say. So you got to save tire. Possibly these guys are 13 laps into a 120 lap race. I'm expecting them to come down maybe halfway if we make it that far on a green flag run, and possibly come down, take tires, and then they can make it to the end for sure. But pace car is going to dive in, and the field in control of Jeff Radke. He hits the restart zone and the loud pedal, and we're back racing here at Nashville Fairgrounds.
Yeah, going down into turn number 1 and 2, Travis Decker rolling that outside, and that outside's got a lot of momentum. Surprisingly, I found that out last night. I was experimenting with the bottom, the middle, kind of a weird kind of double arc. You could potentially say go all the way down to the bottom like how these drivers are doing, letting the Xfinity car, Jeff Vickery, going on around in a big wreck towards the back. The 5 getting sent into pit lane, the 99, the 51, the 2, and the 24, all involved in that one. We're going to go ahead and go back to a quick CRN replay, see what happens. We're going to start it with Jeff Vickery because that's where it all started. He's going to get on the apron.
Oh, yeah, apron.
Apron is a killer here. Oh, Wally Babb nowhere to go, obviously. The 5 checking up, 19 getting involved. Oh, the 5 up in the air. Oh, instantly. Instantly was gone. Jumped to the pit lane. It wasn't waiting. Now, Chris Luttrell, if he gets by, he got by again.
Oh, man. You have 9 lives or what?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Chris Luttrell down here's got 9 lives. He may have hit the wall, but there's no damage to that 00. As soon as the 5 hit the number 51, immediately sent into pit lane. So he's got probably 3 to 4 minutes of towing. And then hopefully he's got his fast repair already checked and ready to go. But basically what I was saying is we're under caution is I was experimenting with a lot of different lines last night. I found out that as the race went on and the tires wore, that outside lane came into effect. I wasn't near anybody. I couldn't make any passes, but running by myself, and I wanted to be the defensive. If you kept your car on that outside just above that top seat or that bottom seam, and if a car got underneath you and you kind of made your way down to the inside and kind of pinched him off to where he couldn't get a good exit off the corner, you were not going to get past. But how much is too much to where you could have some issues coming up off the corner, obviously getting it loose. And that was one of the bigger things as well, as I found that out towards the end of the race there. A couple guys hit the apron, got loose in front of me, tagging the wall, coming up off the corner, getting in a little bit too hot, locking them up. So a lot of different factors going in here tonight. And in 1 and 2, right about here, there's a big bump, like a big divot going in a turn or coming out of 2. I try to stay away from that as much as possible. I did not want any point. I did not want any type of feel for that bump because, obviously the bump is going to upset the car, right? That's just common knowledge if you follow along with NASCAR. So it's almost like it's a little jump because once I hit that bump, the back end ended up kicking out on me. So definitely wanted to stay on that outside, but I would dive it in towards the inside, let the car drift up to the middle lane, and then drive it back down up off of exit. So I missed that whole bump section coming out of 1 and 2, and I did the exact same thing for turns number 3 and 4. So just a little bit of hits and tricks depending on what kind of car you're going to take here to Nashville Speedway or Nashville Fairgrounds, excuse me, as pace car. Gonna go down in this time. Jeff Radke, Travis Decker going to lead these drivers off to the green flag. The race for the championship is on. We are back to racing side by side in a turn number 1 and 2. Travis Decker's got to do something to keep the threes side by side. Not going to be able to do it this time. Top 4, single file.
Yeah, it looks like Radke got the run off of turn number 2. He's going to take the lead away from the 41. But look right behind him. That's Sean Log, and look who's back in the picture. 2 weeks ago, he was in victory lane. That's Dalton McKinney. He's making his way up through the field. He's running in that 5th position. But yeah, the top 5, top 6, almost the top 7 are all single file as they come out of turn number 4. You can see Dalton able to wrap that bottom. You know he was able to get under the driver in front of him. That's the 19 of Zach Bates. So move Dalton. Oh, Bates in the wall. Oh, a couple of them in the wall off of turn number 2. Looks like the 2 is going to try to follow McKinney. And if it's one driver you want to learn from, definitely the guys to beat is Dalton McKinney and Jeff Radke. That's somebody I'm definitely going to learn from. And it looks like so far everybody's kind of diamonding that corner. They're starting low, moving high, trying to avoid that bump that you were talking about, Dylan, and then moving it right back down low to try to get that momentum off of turn number 2 and turn number 4. And yeah, it looks like for the most part, as we see a car make a pass there, they're going to be still side by side. That's Wally Babb in the 99. And couldn't tell who the other driver is, but Wally, both of them getting loose off of 2, trying to make his way back up after being involved in that incident we just saw in the last caution.
Yeah, Wally Babb getting a little bit loose. Patrick Dobransky trying to find a way around Wally Babb, just could not get the pass done. As we're looking on board, and everybody is single file right now. Patrick Dobransky going to dive it in just a little bit. Almost got to the rear bumper of Wally Babb. Wally Babb going to tag the wall. That's going to give the 24 the inside advantage. Not going to be able to get there. Wally Babb going to hold on to that position. Open wheels. I did not have driver muted chatted, so you got a little bit of talking there.
Radioactive.
But, yeah, a little bit of live radioactive, but it's okay. We got it. Got it all muted right there. But Wally Babb coming up off the corner, giving the Patrick Dobransky a little bit of a tail slap, saying, hey, sorry, got a little bit loose, and that's exactly kind of what happened. These drivers pushing the cars to their absolute limit each and every lap, trying to get it to not hit the wall. And Ricky, you know as much as I do, you can tell about halfway through the quarter if you're going to hit the wall or not. And then once you know that you're going to hit the wall, it's either A, it is what it is, or B, you're going to slow down and get the car momentum slowed enough to where you don't hit the wall, but you're going to lose a little bit of time, which obviously you can gain back up. So those are your two options. Half the time for me, it's if it's meant to be, then it's going to be. I mean, hey, I'll hit the wall. I mean, that's just the way I feel about it, especially in a stock car. Now, these modifieds, I don't know if I want to hit the wall just because of how easy they can climb the walls.
Oh, yeah, and I'm going to use the saying that one of my teammates uses all the time. That's Mr. Zach Woods, and that's just going to be, Jesus, take the wheel. If it's my time, it's my time. And like you said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But, yeah, you can definitely tell when somebody's plowing off the corner. The front end of the car just slides up the racetrack. And for those of you that are still new to racing and just checking us out for the first time, that's when the front of the car just doesn't have the grip that it needs to be, and it just pushes the front end. Obviously, loose is the opposite way around. That's when the back end wants to kick out. As Dylan was saying earlier when he raced last night in his Xfinity car, the back end, once it hits that bump, the back end wanted to come out off of turn number 1 and 2. And so, yeah, you can definitely tell after a certain amount of laps who is going to be plowing tight, as we say. And when we say plowing tight, it's just the car will not turn whatsoever. You get it slowed up, you back your corners up, but it still does not turn whatsoever. And you know, we've kind of got a small group. We kind of got 3 different packs going on. Radke's in a league of his own. We know that. And then you have the 41, the 46, and the 84 together. And then you see the 0, the 2, 99. They're all kind of lumped in right there together. But Radke not able to walk away completely. He still has these guys kind of in check of what's going on. Decker and McKinney right there, and then Long. You see all those guys there at the top of the field, and yeah, they want to keep him in distance. I feel like if Radke gets out to more than a second lead, it's going to say adios, sayonara. I'm going to use a saying, but still another saying, Dylan, and that's what some of the radio announcers use on one of my favorite baseball teams, adios muchachos. So you don't want to say that to Radke. You don't want that gap to get too big. That way you have to burn yourself at the end of the run. That way just to try to catch him. Because once you burn it, I feel like, Dylan, it's going to be hard to get around him.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I would imagine it. I mean, if you're Travis Decker or Dalton McKinney right now, who's now worked his way up to P number 3, it's kind of just but tire conservation, right? I mean, you know how fast Jeffrey Radke is. You know he's not burning up his stuff, but how much are you burning up your equipment to try to catch Jeff Radke? I mean, just like Barry said it in the YouTube chat, Radke is on fire tonight. He's going with Radke. That's his race pick. I mean, you got everybody out there rooting for Radke. I mean, just like one of the football announcers said when, not to toot my own horn, but when Devin Hester broke the NFL all-time kick return touchdowns, you are ridiculous. And that's exactly what Jeff Radke is. And that's just something that could stick with Jeff Radke. I mean, he's got 6 wins on the season, and Dalton McKinney's got 3. So there's your 2 guys that have won each and every week. You got Jeff Radke with 6, Dalton McKinney with 3, and everybody else is kind of point feeding from there. There is no stage, so you don't have to worry about any of the stages dampering anything. But, I mean, now you got the 2 best in the league, I guess you could say, with the only 2 wins. Now we're going to see how quick Dalton McKinney can pull away from Travis Decker and start reeling in that number 3 machine, and then see what kind of passing the number 46 can do. I mean, he's got almost a second to make up. He's 0.8 back on the race leader, and that gap is slowly starting to drop here, getting all the way down to 0.7, but it looks like Dalton McKinney going to get loose, going to drop all the way down to 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, I was looking at lap times there. I mean, Dalton was 0.2. I mean, at one time they were hundredths apart, and once he got around the 41 here, he was 0.2 there, or a tenth there. He got loose on that last lap, so he wasn't as quick as he was. But I mean, it's there. You can tell by the lap times. You know, you could tell when he's loose because it's in the 18 seconds now. But you can definitely see that he has the speed. He has a little bit of clean air on the nose. I know dirty air plays a factor a little bit in these cars, not as much as you think, not compared to a truck or an Xfinity or basically a NASCAR in general. Has a little clean air, so we'll be able to see if he can shrink that gap just a little bit. You know, cool the tires down, just made a pass. Let's cool the tires back down, and then obviously let's go try to make a run here at the end to see if we can get around that number 3 car. So that's probably the mindset that Dalton's sitting in right now. Let's cool these bad boys down. Let's cool my shoes off, right? And then let's go make a charge to see if we can go catch that dude.
Yeah, it's pretty much how it's going to be, as consistently Dalton McKinney running faster lap times than Jeff Radke. Jeff Radke 17.94. Dalton McKinney 17.91.
Yeah, there it is right there, Dylan. Hundreds.
Yeah, the gap falling ever so closer, 0.7 of a gap now, as taking a look at this battle. Going to go ahead and go back towards the back as Zach Bates has some heavy competition, trying to get around the number 24 machine, not able to do so, as Johnny Williams back out on track, just going to keep it out of the way of the race leader. He's going to go down back into pit lane, and that is another thing that we did not talk about. The pit lane here, so hard to get onto, as you got to make an abrupt left-hand turn, and hopefully you get it right the first time, because you got a wall, a little bit of an opening, and then another wall on the other side going into pit lane. So definitely got to watch how you get into pit lane, as we're going to be side by side for P number 9.
Yeah.
And that's going to allow Sean Powers, he may be a lap down or 3 laps down. He's going to be there to fight for the position. Dobransky going to fall back now behind Zach Bates. So Zach Bates going to go ahead and take that P number 8 position away.
Yeah, you can see the outside lane on the exit of turn number 2. You see how wide that entry is in 1, and then as they come off of 2, it shrinks. There's one camera, Dylan, that shows it perfectly, so you can see how wide the entry is here in turn number 1, and then as they drive, I think it's this camera. Look how small and narrow that exit gets. And so if you're running that outside line, I mean, there's more than likely you are going to hit that wall. And that's why I see these drivers diamonding that corner just like that. The driver, I believe that was Zach Bates. I couldn't see the number on it, but just like that, you run that high side, you're in jeopardy of hitting where that outside line is. And you can see drivers, every single one of them on the bottom of the racetrack, and not trying to jeopardize ruining their race. You know, Xfinity car, you ran this last night, Dylan, has fenders. That's the number one thing and the difference that I see with this car. Boom, another slap right there by another competitor. That's the one thing. You hit the outside wall, it's going to break something on the front of that race car or the rear of that race car. It's going to be really difficult to drive. And you already mentioned the entry to pit road. You see it right there. I'm looking at it as these two drivers, the number 5 and the number 19. Yeah, that's Zach Bates, 19. Looks like they're battling for position, but I mean, it's already difficult to come down pit road, and so if you slap the wall, break something, man, you better hope that thing turns, because it's a sharp left getting onto pit road.
Yeah, looking at pit road entry right there, you can see you got a wall with no safety barrier, and then you got a big old tractor tire with the yellow cone on top getting into the pit road. I luckily have never had to deal with green flag pit stops at this track. I would hate to deal with the green flag pit stops here. But, I mean, they do tend to happen, especially here. I can see it now. I mean, you're at the halfway point right now. When do you want to make that dive into pit lane? When do you want to get those new horseshoes? When do you want to get full of race fuel? When do you want to strategize against your opponents? Because, I mean, obviously, if you go in too late, your whatever time you just made up is now completely gone. So if Jeff Radke were to go in at this time by, you'd want to hurry up and get into pit lane before he comes out.
Yep.
Definitely want to make sure you get out of pit lane by the time he comes out. Now, if you stay out 2 to 3 extra laps, he's on fresh tires. You're on the older equipment. It might not be able to make up that time. So it's definitely a cat and mouse game, especially with green flag pit stops. I always try to go for the undercut. So the undercut is, I try to figure out what lap's best for me to pit on, and I'll try to go in 1 lap sooner than the leader. Believe it or not, half the time it does work. Other times, you could be like me, blow through your pit stall, have to back up like I did at Daytona all race long, and lose a couple positions. So definitely you got to play that into a big factor. Obviously, these guys are going to be hard on the brakes going into the corners, just because of how narrow these corners are. They widen out, but it's not like a Dover or a New Hampshire where you just brake on entry, let the car roll, get back on the throttle. No, you're hard on the brakes, getting that car loaded down to make the corner. So getting into getting into the pit lane, 10 times more different, because now you got to deal with the apron, you got to deal with the wall down on the inside, and you got to make sure that you don't come back up on the track and hinder somebody's race.
Yeah, and this place, Dylan, you see the banking. It's not like what we saw 2 weeks ago at Bristol when these guys were ripping around that racetrack. I mean, that place is such a fast place, especially with the banking that they have at the last great Coliseum. But I mean, a little bit shorter track, right? I believe this place is a quarter mile long, but the banking here is not as steep as Bristol, but you can still see 18-second lap times. That's still rocketing around this place. And, once we come down and you decide to make that pit stop, it's going to be determined, all right, I can probably go 2-3 more laps before I think about coming down. Because you don't want to lose too much time to the guy that's leading the race. And you can see it. It's fluctuating, Dylan. I'm looking at it right now. It's going from 0.5 to 0.8 down to 0.6, and it's at 0.7 right now. That's one of the things I've been looking at so far is that just that gap between first and second. And, I mean, he's still there. He still has him in hindsight. He has him where he wants him as Radke's trying to get around some lap traffic. Now, Dalton, I believe, just got around him. And yeah, that's a factor. That's another factor these guys got to play in. Everybody's starting to space themselves out a little bit from the leaders. And yeah, like next in line is a 24. That's going to be Dobransky, and then Bates is on the verge of going a lap down. Fascinado's on the verge of going a lap down. Babs on the verge of going a lap down. So it's go time when you see that leader in your mirror and you're like, uh-oh, yeah, I gotta go now. Maybe it's time to burn some stuff up, or hey, maybe this is the time where they think about short pitting, like you said. You come down, get some fresh rubber, you get that half a straight lead on the leader, and you try to just go from there. And yeah, these guys are starting to, I mean, they're putting some laps down, Dylan. This is crazy how fast they're able to still maintain. So yeah, Radke gonna make his move on Dobransky. So Dobransky's one lap down. Oh, here comes McKinney. Holy cow, he made a ton of ground up on the corner entry of turn 3.
Yeah, all the way down to 0.5 of a second, gonna drift all the way back up to over 0.6. But there's the gap there. You see it kind of in your screen with this camera. This is definitely going to be a fight for the finish as coming around to take lap number 74. The gap now under 5 second, or under 0.5 of a second. So this could be a photo finish. I mean, we've seen a lot of photo finishes, not in this league particularly, but this could develop into a fine photo finish here tonight. But we're over halfway. We're coming up on lap number 76. I think, Ricky, we're going to give our voices a little bit of a break, turn these cars up, mute the mics, and give these people a little bit of, you love to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
And we are back. As you see the distance there between Dalton McKinney and Jeff Radke. Me and Ricky were talking over the break. He gains and then he loses. He gains and he loses. He's picking up all of his time on entry, but losing it on exit. And following along there,
caution.
we have a caution. The 24, Dobransky, stuck in the middle of the track. That's going to change everything as we're going to go back and look at this quick CRA replay. See what happens with the number 24. He's up top, make it drop all the way down to the inside.
Oh, wow.
Does he hit the apron? He does. So apron claiming another lost soul. Tokyo drifted a little bit. Does he hit the wall, though? Yeah, he's definitely going to head on into the wall, down to the inside. Not too bad of damage, but now here's the thing. Do you want to sacrifice your track position? And yes, everybody's going to sacrifice. Yeah, everybody's sacrificing track position to go down into pit lane. The driver who stays out, Zach Bates.
I think Bates is a lap down, so I think looking. Let me look.
Yeah,
I think Bates is a lap down.
Bates was a lap down, so he got his lap back. So yes, he could not pit. Right side's going up for the top three. Do they get lefts? Dalton McKinney with the strategic move. Gonna beat out the number 3. But now here's the thing. Ryland Facinato stayed out, I believe. Let's look here. Pull up. Yes, Facinato. Last pit on lap number 10. Facinato going to pit this time by. So that's going to inherit the race lead to Dalton McKinney.
Yep.
You want to talk about a race for your lifetime?
Wow.
This is going to be a fight to the finish between these two drivers. You got Radke going to be possibly on the outside. Then you got McKinney down on the inside unless McKinney decides to go up top. Now, let me ask you this, Ricky.
Oh, I'm taking his line away.
If you were Dalton in this situation, would you want to start down on the inside or would you want to start on the outside?
Oh, no, start on the bottom. You saw how quick Radke was on the bottom, right? And so now you take that line away. You are going to on the past couple of restarts, I mean, Radke just cleared himself on the exit of 2. You see how narrow the exit, as we said earlier, right, this is the camera I was telling you about. See how narrow it is on the exit of 2. And Radke's basically going to have to be side by side with Dalton on the exit of 2, but it just gets so tight right there that I think Dalton definitely would have the advantage of coming to take advantage to be in first, and be in first and try to control this field to the best of his ability. We'll switch it up on you a little bit, Dylan. So I was looking at that replay one more time, and so remember how you were talking about that bump? So the 24 hit the bump, caused him to shoot down the racetrack. I wish we had time to look at the replay one more time. Hopefully if we get another caution, I'd like to go back and look at that if we can. But he hits that bump, and it shoots him down the racetrack to the apron, and then he loses. Obviously, we know what happens from there. He loses it, and then bam, smacks the inside wall. But I believe, Dylan, man, it's that bump. It'll come and bite you, and it'll grab you. And that's what happened on that last caution. But pace car, it's going to dive into pit road. McKinney has the field under control with his pit strategy coming from the back to the front. And do we have I don't know if we had a jump there, but look at Dalton. Dalton going to try to fight back. Man, Radke. Smacks the outside wall. That's exactly what we were talking about. Look at McKinney. Just going to roll that bottom side of the racetrack and going to try to slide. No, he's not clear just yet. Oh, I think a little bit of net code right there. Going to dive her back in. And they're wrecking. They're wrecking. Oh, and he saved it. Wally Babb. What a save.
The Babster being able to save it. Battle up top for the lead. Jeff Radke using the outside to his advantage, getting cleared of the number 46, new leader. Presume the lead, number 3 of Jeff Radke. Jeff Radke timed that restart absolutely perfect, was able to get out in the front. And here we go. The fastest lap of the race goes to Jeff Radke with a 17.309. He's looking down to the inside. Here comes Dalton McKinney.
There we go.
Going to be a battle off turn number 4. It's still going to be Radke this time by. But now you're kind of bottlenecked towards the back. Is that going to provide a greater racing back in the back? Is it going to be heartbreak for a lot of these drivers? I keep looking up at the track map to see if anything's going to happen. So far, it looks like they're getting ready to be single filed on out. But Jeff Radke took the lead back the hard way around the outside. And if there's anybody that could do it, it would have been him. But look at that. Dalton McKinney using the outside to his advantage. He's like, all right, you know what? I'm going to see what kind of arc I can get in here and see if I just can't power around you, just kind of like how you did me. But, I mean, they're nose to tail. One wrong move from one of these drivers could be sending one of them back to the back of the field, and that's definitely not what you want to see here, especially with 15 laps to go.
Oh yeah, it's coming down to crunch time, and McKinney knows it's time to go. These two drivers are already locked in for the final 4, and you know who's sitting in the catbird seat? That guy in the 3rd position, Chris Luttrell in the 00, right behind them. You see him right there in picture, sitting in the catbird seat. If these two were to tango, as you can say, and get involved in an incident. But yeah, this is going to be a fun battle. Under 15 laps to go of a 120 lap race. And these guys are pushing the limits now. Will the strategy work for McKinney? Well, Radke able to pull away with his probably 4 fresh tires. You know, he had to make a call, McKinney did, in order to get in front of Radke. Radke did it the hard way, drove on the outside of him. Oh, got loose. He's to the inside. Here we go, Dylan. Battle for the lead as they come off turn number 4.
Battle for the lead, side by side, Nerf bars touching. Give that lap to Jeff Radke, as he's going to try to power around the outside once again, but they're still going to be side-by-side. Radke tagging the wall once again. Radke going down towards the inside. That's exactly what I was talking about, pinching that guy down on the inside. Can't let him get a good race off the corner. And Dalton McKinney going to have to settle it back in for P at number 2. I know they're fighting to get every position out of this racetrack that they can. Looking at the pit lane time, or we'll do pit stop time, actually. 12.1 seconds for Dalton McKinney, 14.3 seconds for Jeff Radke. So both took 2 tires. Maybe one took less fuel than the other. Maybe that's what it was. Because, I mean, obviously, if they're taking both tires, you're looking at 23 to 24 second lap or section. So, where did this gap come from? I looked down 1 second to look at the pit stop times, and already Radke opened up a 0.6 second of a lead.
Yeah, look, Dalton got loose off of turn number 2 and tagged that outside wall. Look at Chris Luttrell. Yeah, he's saying, all right, buddy, I think you burned your stuff up, so I'm going to come in here and try to steal this 2nd position from you. I believe that's one of the drivers that's battling for a final 4 spot. I'm going to go back and look. It is. He is actually tied with Sean Long in the 4th position. Sean running right behind him. So it would be Radke, McKinney right now. You know those guys are locked in. Luttrell is locked in. Wally Babb. Wally probably needs to get Ryan and Travis in order for him to possibly sneak his way in to be one of the final 4. So, I mean, he's almost, it's 26 points out. I mean, there's still a possibility that these other drivers could lock themselves in. But, yeah, your guys that have dominated basically all season, Radke, McKinney, 6 and 3 wins, and then Babb is trying to point his way in. Luttrell's trying to point his way in, and Sean Long trying to point his way in. Yeah, and all of those drivers, 1 through 6 right now at the moment on the racetrack.
Yeah, I'm looking right now to see if they have any, like, point system. I believe they use Sim Racer Hub for the points. Was going to see how many points they get from first all the way down to last position, but I believe Wally Babb, even though he's back there towards the back in P number 6, well, actually, no, he's not in the back anymore. He's halfway through the field. I believe he may be good it's going to be if Chris Luttrell can hold it in P number 3 over Sean Long, who just lost P number 4 to Travis Decker. I believe our Final Four is going to be set with Jeff Radke, Wally Babb, Dalton McKinney going to be the number 3 seed. And then you're going to also have Chris Luttrell.
Yeah.
But bonus points. Bonus points are going to come into effect here, too. So you got Jeff Radke with 15 bonus points, Wally Babb with 4, Dalton McKinney with 8, and Chris Luttrell with 1. Sean Long has 0. But coming here to the final lap of the race, going to go ahead and go on up to our race leader. That's going to be Dalton McKinney of...
he
Jeff
shrunk the gap.
Radke. Yeah, he definitely shrunk the gap. But coming off turn number 4, it's going to be Jeff Radke stealing the win here tonight. Dalton McKinney tried to do everything he possibly could. Just couldn't get it done here tonight. Top 3 as followed. Jeff Radke, Dalton McKinney, Chris Luttrell, Travis Decker, Sean Long, Wally Babb, Rylan Fecinato, Zach Bates, Patrick Dobransky, Sean Powers, Jeff Vickery, and Johnny Williams are going to be your 12 drivers taking times here tonight and getting the race done. I don't know about you, Ricky, but that was a very exciting last 15 laps.
Yeah, we saw those guys trying to save tire, right? The late caution came out like in every other race that we saw, especially like the one that we saw on Monday with the Daytona 500, right? The guys' pit strategy trying to come down, save fuel, do what they can. But yeah, that was exciting. It was cool to see Radke make the move on the outside, especially on a place like turn number 2 where that window was so small, margin for error is so small, and he was able just to he let it stick. Yeah, when we saw we saw what Dalton was doing. I mean, he throw the car into the corner, and he just loses exit speed. So that's probably where probably the race was lost, and then maybe he was able to cool his tires right back down, and then he made a run there at the end, and I mean, it was half a second, Dylan, when we looked and we were talking about the point situation, and the next thing you know, we look up and wow, he's like on his back bumper. Maybe he's going to give him the chrome horn and try to do something to him. But man, all in all, that was a fantastic finish. That was a great race. These guys have done fantastic all year long, and it's cool to see clean racing, not a lot of cautions, and it was filled with spread out a little bit, and everybody just minding their own business. And it came down at the end, Dylan, 2 of the best drivers here in the series.
Yeah, it came down to 2 of the best drivers in the series, as we'll get ready to talk to them. But as of right now, we are joined by our 3rd place finisher. That's going to be the 0-0 of Chris Luttrell. Chris, this is Dylan and Ricky in the broadcast booth. You got a copy.
Hey, Dylan and Ricky. Yeah, I got you.
All right, Chris. One hell of a season so far. You're currently sitting P4. You're going to have to wait and see what the points look like after tonight. But, man, what a great race by you to come out here, finish P3 on this. I mean, the field is not by any means soft or easy to get through. Kind of walk me through your race here tonight, because I think you had a couple brown pants moments there, and I don't know how you got past Johnny Williams as he was wrecking, then he got past, I believe it was Patrick Dobransky going back down the track on the backstretch.
Yeah, there was a couple close calls. I actually didn't miss Patrick that time. He gave me a 4X. That was my only 4X. But, yeah, I had computer problems right lining up, so I had missed the start, so I started in the back. So I was at a loss then. So then the caution came out and Gummy got caught back up, and I took fuel, so I had a little bit of an advantage there. They were having to save fuel. But, yeah, the car felt good and went forward, and it was fun. It was great watching them guys. Dalton and Jeff, man, they raced their butts off. It was great watching them. I couldn't hardly catch them.
Yeah. I mean, those 2 are one of the top 2 to do it. Hard to catch them, but when you do catch them, it's such a sigh of relief that you were able to get up there. And
no doubt.
I mean, if it comes down to where you're making the Final Four, how much pressure are you going to have, and how much practice time are you going to end up having?
Well, I try to win every race I'm in, so we got to take care of the car, and I might throw a little more practice laps if I'm in the final four. I believe it resets. Everybody's on even ground, and it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, definitely going to be a good race. But Chris, before we let you get on out of here, is there anybody on that 00 machine you'd like to give a shout out to? The floor is now yours.
Oh yeah, McDingers, and my dad, stepmom, and my dog. She lets me do it.
All right, Chris, we're going to go ahead and let you get on out of here. Celebrate that third place finish. I believe that's your highest finish here this season, maybe your second. But all in all,
I was second last week.
Oh, yes. We didn't race last week.
So, or the week before, my bad.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were. So that's your, 2 podiums in 2 weeks? Come on now. That's the way to do it. Yeah, you better watch out. Yeah, 1 week is second. This week it's third. There's only one more place you can finish, buddy. That's number 1.
Let's race.
All right, buddy. We're going to go ahead and let you get on out of here. Celebrate that third place finish, and we'll talk to you throughout the week. Maybe get the broadcaster down there, help you out with the last race of the season, get some practice laps in with you.
Heck yeah, bring it on. I like racing with you.
All right, buddy.
Great, man. Thanks. I appreciate what you do, and see you next week.
See you next week, buddy. All right, that's going to be our third place finisher of Chris Luttrell. I'm going to go ahead and bring in our second place finisher, the man that beat the man out of pit lane, just couldn't hold it off. That's going to be Dalton McKinney. And Ricky, if you're good to go and you're back in the session, go ahead and let you take over our P2 finisher here tonight.
Yes, sir. Dalton, it's Ricky and Dylan in the booth. You got a copybook.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going, man. Man, we were up here in the booth, and I'm like, all right, he's going to get him. He got him. He got the track position. He got him. He's going to get one from him. He's going to steal one. And then, man, he just made the move on the outside. Talk about, were you trying to follow him? Were you trying to find the speed to try to get right back around him? We saw him make a move on the outside. And I'm like, Dalton learned something. He's going to try to get him.
What really cost me was that was my first restart. In the first 4 or 5 rows, I started so far back, and we really didn't have many cautions. So I was on the front row, and I didn't know where the green flag was really gonna be thrown at because we were going on green. So he was able to get a good jump on me. And once he's on your outside like that, I had no exit. I couldn't let my car drift up off the corner, and it was just so tight. Keep it pinned down. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get around him. I thought I had him cleared at one point, and I went to move up a little bit. We made a little bit of contact. He got clear back up next to me, and at that point my tires were pretty well juiced. So that was kind of my chance, and I wish I could have just been able to judge the green flag a little bit more on that last restart and get a good jump, and I think that could have made the difference, but just wasn't the case.
Yeah, man, and we see you've won 3 races so far this year. We're going to a place next week where you're running for a championship. What's the mindset? Are you going to try to get some laps in? I know you do other leagues outside of this one, and you're in multiple leagues. And are you going to try to maybe put those on the back burner a little bit and try to practice in this car? That way you get used to what that track looks like and possibly run for a championship and be a champion.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. The plan is always to run some laps throughout the week. It's kind of hard to get to it. If I could just get an hour or two here and there, a time or two, I think it would give me a lot of benefit. But yeah, glad that no one has to go to the back. We'll all be able to keep our starting positions next week. Hopefully it's a good clean race, kind of like this one was. Without a whole lot of cautions and a lot of clean racing. But yeah, it's always fun to have a chance with these Final Four championships that they do nowadays. I've been in a few of them, and you always put in a little extra work. I got a couple teammates that I enjoy racing with that's in it as well. So we'll be, I'm sure we'll find some time to put some laps in.
Definitely, man. Last question for me. I know we're running out on time here, but talk about the exit of 2 and, kind of maybe 3/4 of the corner, you'd hit that bump and it just looks like the car would just shoot down to the bottom of the racetrack. I don't believe we had a big bump in 3 and 4, but I mean, you can definitely tell once somebody hit that bump pretty well. Talk about just going through the corner, making sure you hit the sweet spot of that bump so it doesn't shoot back down the racetrack. Because we saw multiple drivers, they clip that apron and it's just sayonara, see you later.
Yeah, with these cars at most of the tracks we've been at, you really have to charge the corner, and it was no different here. But you had to slow it way down to get it. That way, if you didn't have the nose pointing in the right direction when you hit that bump, it was just gonna make the front end drift up and really tight, and that's when you get into the fence. So you just had to charge the corner really hard, get it slowed down before you rotate it. That way, when you go back through that bump, it's pointing you, towards where you want to go, and it almost felt like a groove. Once you could kind of get into a rhythm with it, you could almost it felt like it kind of sped you up, the bump did. So I try to, find them and try to use them to my advantage if I'm able to.
Oh, most def, man. Looking forward to you running next week and battling for a championship. But, man, before we get you out of here, who'd you like to think on that number 46 machine?
I'd like to thank my girlfriend. Always let me race. She's got the Birdie's Blooms. That's what this car's paint is. My painter, Johnny Williams, he always has me looking sharp. My cousin, Lil Joe, watches. My buddy Sean usually watches, but he was racing with us tonight. So cool to see him out here. All my teammates, congratulations to Radke on another win. Hopefully we can upset him next week. Thanks to everyone that puts the leagues on, Vickery, Ford, and thanks to you and Dylan for always putting on a great broadcast and giving us a good product to go back and watch. Us drivers really appreciate it. So thanks for that.
Man, I appreciate that, and good luck next week. Get some laps in. Man, if you got one fan in the booth, it's definitely me. I know we're not supposed to be picking drivers and favoritisms and all that stuff, but, man, you're one hell of a will, man, and you go get them next week and go be a champion.
Oh, yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Dylan, that's going to be our second place finisher. That'll be the number 46 of Dalton McKinney. He's going to be one of the drivers locked into the Final Four and running for that elusive Lucky Dawg Racing League Championship. And now, Dylan, we got him in the booth. I'll let you go ahead and interview our race winner. The floor is now yours, sir.
All right, Jeff Radke, this is Dylan and Ricky in the booth. Got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right. You did what you needed to do. You started on the pole. You led the most laps. You did everything completely right. A couple timely cautions there coming on out. Dalton McKinney ended up getting around you out of pit lane, but you just had that amazing restart on the outside. You did something that nobody could do to you all race long, and that was take the outside, use it against them, and make the pass.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that, actually. Hadn't been up there all night. Ran the bottom the whole time and never really had to use it. So that first time into one there, I was really hoping it was going to stick.
Yeah, me and Ricky actually talked about it. I was like, if you're Dalton McKinney, which side would he take? Ricky took the inside. Now, me, I didn't get to use my answer, but I would have taken the outside. Just because, one, you can kind of get up by the wall and then kind of cut it back down and get a straighter exit off, and you're gone. Dalton chose to take the inside. I don't know if he might have gotten caught sleeping on the restart there, or maybe the green flag came out a little bit sooner than he expected there. But nonetheless, I thought he was going to be able to get back around you. You tagged the wall coming up off the corner just a couple of times, got side by side. But that number 46 machine not able to get clear, and I think that was like the deciding factor pretty much. If you can't get clear of the guy that you're trying to pass, you pretty much don't really have anything going on for you there. But, pretty much all race long. You opened yourself up to a gap, got all the way up to almost 2 seconds at one point, and then Dalton McKinney made his way from the back to the front, and that's when the racing started to get a little bit more spicy.
Yeah, that long green flag run there, I guess he took a little fuel. I didn't. So, with about 75 to go, I was actually saving fuel. Trying to make sure I could make it. I was about a lap to the good there before that last caution came out. We were able to pit and get tires, so that's why he beat me off. I had to take fuel and he didn't. just to be safe.
See, Ricky? I knew it was something there, but I mean, you can just tell. I mean, 2 extra seconds of field can definitely make a difference, and that's exactly what it was. I mean, obviously, it didn't really make a difference because Mr. Seven Time out here was able to get it done. But I mean, you have cemented your legacy here with the Lucky Dog League. I mean, you've won the championship 2 years in a row, going to make it a three-peat here potentially after next week. What's going to be the momentum factor for you as you got New Smyrna next week?
Yeah, New Smyrna's going to be tough. Track position definitely is going to be key. It's hard to tell if it's going to be a caution fest or if we can get some good green flag laps in. It's an old hometown track for me, so it'll be fun to go back and run there.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I don't know. Luckily, there's no EOL, so I can start where I qualify.
Yeah, definitely going to get see what happens there. Can't wait to have it happen. But I mean, Radke, the man with a plan, out here winning 7 races of the season. The other 3 going to Dalton McKinney. But Jeff, before we let you get on out of here, celebrate that race win here tonight, is there anybody on that number 3 machine you'd like to give a shout out to?
My wife, of course. She supports me, lets me do this every week. You guys putting on a great broadcast. It's always fun. I like going back and watching it. Bakery for putting on the league. Butt Kicker for the sponsor. I think that's about it.
All right, Jeff, we're going to go ahead and let you get on out of here, celebrate that race win here tonight, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks. Have a good night.
All right, that's going to do it for our in-race interviews here tonight. Ricky, what an amazing finish, an amazing race. All right, anyways. Such an amazing race here tonight. I got caught looking at the whole, it's just the whole thing. But, looking at it right now, everybody going through and
I got you.
doing whatever we had to do. But basically, 120 laps up, 120 laps down. I mean, Nashville Super Speedway, you see it here on your screen. It's not moving. It doesn't look that big, but these drivers did what they needed to do and got it done all the way through the race here tonight. I mean, New Smyrna, you heard it from Jeff Radke, Ricky. It's going to be a tough track to beat.
Yeah, that's. I don't believe, Dylan, I even have that track on. I don't know if I have it or not, but I know some other people have raced, ARCA there and other stock cars, and I got to go back and I'm gonna be honest, Dylan, I don't even know if I have that track. But it's always cool to have something brand new on the server. You get to see something new, and it's another short track. We know this place track league, but yeah, this place, Nashville Fairgrounds, is definitely a historic place. We saw the SRX series race here one season. I believe Chase Elliott won that race. But that was a fantastic finish. You had your moments where you think this thing was going to go green, and then bam, the caution throws a monkey wrench into everything, and you see Radke coming down with his strategy. Didn't know he had to take fuel. I didn't know he was even saving at that point. So yeah, that's what got McKinney the lead there for a brief moment. And man, you got a feel for Dalton. Didn't know when the caution when the green flag was going to run, and I'm looking at this track map, and it looks like the restart zone is somewhere in the exit of turn 4. You can see where the grandstands are, and if you look right to the right of it, there's those 2 solid yellow or white lines. I believe that's the restart zone, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
And maybe Dalton just got, I don't know what happened, and he maybe just lost track of where he was on the racetrack. And man, that is definitely tough. I thought from my initial reaction that the 3 jumped the restart and he was going to have to give that position back, and it turns out that wasn't the case. Dalton just mistimed what that restart zone looked like. Man, that's tough. But Dylan, I have the points up. They already updated them, and I have the 4 drivers that are going to be battling for a championship, if you'd like to hear that.
Yeah, sir. Let's go on. Well,
All right, here we
wait,
go.
do they send them to
P
you?
number 4. It is. They already got it. They're all in. P number 4, Krista Trell, and that 00. Then in third, you have the 99 of Wally Babb. And second will be the 46 of Dalton McKinney. And obviously, our man who's dominated all season long with 7 wins, and Dylan calling Mr. 7-time, going for the three-peat. It's going to be Jeff Radke. So those are going to be your 4 drivers battling for a championship next week at New Smyrna. And Dylan, those are 4 talented, really good drivers. It looks like all of them, but McKinney has finished in the top 10 of races that have counted. And yeah, that's going to be fun. I'd like to see Chris come out on top. Obviously, Dalton, I'd like to see an upset with Radke. Those 2 guys have been fast all year long, Radke and McKinney. But man, that sleeper Luttrell, he was fast tonight. He was fast 2 weeks ago at Bristol. And you said it, Dylan. Third, he's finished second, third. There's just one spot now that he has to get, and that's that number 1 spot.
Yeah, you know, this is going to be like the Zach Woods story here, the underdog coming in to take the rightful place. I mean, we seen it season number 1. Wally Babb winning the final race of the season, did not win the championship, but won the final race of the season. Now Wally Babb has a chance to win the last race of the season and win the championship. Chris Luttrell has the same thing to do as well. You heard it from Dalton McKinney. They don't have to start from the rear. So wherever they qualify is where they're going to finish. And I mean, that's going to be good. I mean, like Dalton and Jeff said, track position is going to be key at New Smyrna. I've ran New Smyrna. I don't like New Smyrna. I'd rather watch New Smyrna. That's just what we're going to have in store for us next week. We're going to start the broadcast next week just a tad bit earlier than normal, so that we can get our final 4 drivers into the broadcast booth. Give us a little bit of a feel. Get like a little pre-race interview. You know, kind of little friendly banter between the 4 of the drivers. And see where their mind's at, see what the tire wear is going to be like, and to see exactly what these drivers can do all the way throughout the race. And it's definitely going to be a fun one. I mean, all the points reset, so everybody's going to be, you know, all on even playing fields. So that's definitely going to be something that you're going to want to watch there. And I don't know if you looked at it, Ricky, but Chris Luttrell got P number 4 by a mere 2 points over Sean Long. So Sean Long needed to finish 3rd or better to make it to the final race of the season. But Chris Luttrell having that 1 extra bonus point kind of helped him propel himself there. So definitely going to be a fun top 4 finish for the race next week. Can't wait to see it. So we'll have a total of 5 interviews. So we're going to have our top 3, and then we're also 4 interviews. Apologize, our top 3, and then obviously all of our championship drivers are going to be in the broadcast booth getting their interviews on to recap over the season. But if you guys haven't already, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to CRN, as it helps us out with the algorithm of YouTube. Turned 2 years old in this month, so I want to give a big shout out to Jimmy and Carl Handwork for bringing me on board. And then I brought in this guy, my compadre, and I told them straight up I don't want to do any league without my compadre. And my compadre is my compadre. That's who I want in the broadcast booth with me. It's always been a pleasure having him up in the booth with myself. But if you haven't already, make sure you guys go over to the other league stream here tonight. That's going to be the Smoky Mountain Grassroots Late Model Stock League with Derek Sherman and Jimmy Covert in the broadcast booth. Then you also have Carl Handwork and Joe Sullivan in the broadcast booth for the Casual Sim Racing League. So 3 streams in one day. You got 6 different broadcasters all throughout CRN broadcasting. So you got those 3 today. No broadcast, or got the Core GT Series broadcast tomorrow night. Friday night, no broadcast. Then you're going to see me back in the booth for the NIS Truck Series, as I believe they're going to Atlanta afternoon, 135 laps. Stages are going to be 30, 60, and 130. Or 130, 30, 60, and then the end of the race. Yeah.
I got you, bud.
Yeah,
That's why I'm here. To help you.
I'm looking at it. The laps say 135, but the stage links say 30, 60, 130. So they kind of just cut it down by 4 laps. But 4 tire sets in the pits, no fast repairs, open setups. You can find myself in the broadcast booth for that one. Can't wait to see it happen. Sunday, you're going to have Brendan Poult in the broadcast booth for the Core Racing Premier Series as I finally made my first appearance last week at Talladega. Led some laps, finished 6th. Finished right where I started. Monday night, no broadcast for CRN. Tuesday night, going to have another broadcast for the UCRL league with Jimmy Covert and Carl Hanwork in the broadcast booth. And then you're going to have myself and Ricky back in the booth for championship racing at New Smyrna for the Lucky Dog Racing League season number 3 in the Tour Mods. But that's going to do it for the broadcast here tonight. It's been a pleasure showing you the difference of, or showing you, or broadcasting, showcasing, there we go, can't English today,
There you go.
showcasing this beautiful league here tonight. But that's going to do it for myself, Dylan McDonald, in the broadcast booth alongside Ricky Gonzalez. Make sure you guys take care, brush your hair,